Olivia Newton-John. If you were following the news this week, you know that she passed away at the age of 73 due to complications from breast cancer. I was a kid who grew up in the 1970s, and I had a lifelong crush on Olivia Newton-John. In fact, I still have 9 of her vinyl LPs, one of which is on behind me. And I also have some of her 45 RPM singles. In fact, this one, I Honestly Love You, is one that I gave to a girl I was madly in love with when I was 18 years old. Well, the reason I have it back is because, fortunately, she agreed to marry me a couple of years later, so I got the girl and the record back. It was the best of all worlds. This week, as all of the tributes started coming in about Olivia Newton-John, there were 2 things that struck me. One was that everyone who talked about her kindness, her gentleness, her positive spirit. And it was encouraging to know that that public persona that she had was one that was authentic in her private life as well. But the second thing that came out was the 30-year battle that she had with breast cancer. And in fact, the story was told that after her first battle, in the very beginning, she made the decision to use her influence and her wealth to fund a hospital in Australia that was designed to be a cancer center for women who were suffering from breast cancer. And that hospital still exists and is active today. As I was thinking about her life and her legacy, I was reminded of a verse in the book of James that says, "Consider it pure joy, my friends, when you suffer trials of many kinds." Kind of a weird sentiment, isn't it? Consider it joy when you face trials of many kinds. I don't know about you, but when I face trials, illness, disappointments, I rarely have joy. And yet we're encouraged to do that. And how is that possible? It's interesting, the Bible is full of people who faced many, many difficult things. There's a whole book, the book of Job, that's about a man who had everything, and it was all taken away from him. He had only his life and barely that to hold on to. And he wasn't joyous by any means. But when his friends were telling him, curse God and die, he refused to do so. He decided to be steadfast to God. And in doing so, God restored everything back to him. There's the story of Queen Esther, who thought being a queen was going to be a pretty easy gig. And then suddenly the Jewish people were in trouble. And she was forced to intervene. And possibly it was going to cost her her own life. And her advisor Mordecai said to her, "Consider that maybe you were brought to the kingdom for this very moment." And I think there's a little bit of that sentiment that's in this idea of having joy in trials. The idea that perhaps we were brought here to face these trials for the benefit of others. Olivia decided to turn hers into a hospital, but most of us don't have the money or the means to do anything like that. But we all know of people who have gone through things like alcoholism and have become very active in AA to help other people after that. We know of people who have lost loved ones who have then dedicated themselves to helping in hospices because they know the pain and the struggle that families go through. There's a story of Corrie ten Boom, who went into a German concentration camp in World War II, lost her father, her mother, her sister, had the worst conditions possible. And yet when she came out, she went around telling a story of forgiveness and love. She decided to turn those terrible experiences into joy for someone else. So this week, I want you to think about the difficult things that are going on in your life. You know, we may not get to choose what's happening to us, but we do get to choose how we're going to respond. And James told his readers, consider it joy. So where do you have the opportunity to turn difficulties tragedy, illness, loss, into joy for yourself and for others. Have a great week.